Hello everyone. A lot of you, especially my students, have been asking for a real time video. So here we are finally slowing things down and painting this little bird together. So if you're painting along with me, you can go grab your pencil, eraser, colors, a water bowl because we are going to make a watercolor bird today. And let's begin. So I'm starting with a really light sketch and the details can come in later. One thing that you have to keep in mind is to start with the basic shapes always and draw it very lightly. You don't have to press your pencil so that if it goes wrong you can correct it. Now I'm adding the first layer of color. You will notice that I generally like to keep things very light, and when you make something in watercolor, it's very important to understand the proportion of water to the color. One thing I've learned over the years is that watercolor is less about the paint and more about understanding the water. The proportions of water make all the difference. Sometimes you need a little more color and sometimes you need a little more water. It is not really something that can be memorized. So if you want to get your shade lighter, you need to use more water, and if you want to get it darker, heavier strokes, you need to use less water in your color. You learn it by painting over and over again, and that's exactly why I love watercolor so much. It is not my favorite medium. My favorite medium is color pencil, but then I really love watercolors as well. So it is one of the few mediums that reminds you that you can't control everything. You guide the paint, but the water has its own ideas. It flows somewhere else. So instead of fighting it, you learn to work with it. Every painting becomes a little different, and that's what makes it so beautiful. So I'm slowly building up the colors here instead of making everything dark at once. I've used some yellow ochre over here as the base. Some strokes here and there to give it a nice furry effect. Try to merge in the colors together rather than just leaving it there. See how beautifully that yellow ochre has blended into red on its own. So if you're a student, I really hope you make a lot of mistakes because that's how you learn. There's really no shortcut to it. You do your painting, you make a mistake, and then you learn from it. I actually want you to make mistakes. Use too much water at once, too little the next time, mix colors that become muddy, paint birds that don't quite look like birds. And that's not failure, that's practice. Every painting is always giving you feedback, even the ones that you don't like. It always helps you grow. And can I tell you something else? Don't take it all so seriously. It's just paint on paper. You're not writing an exam and you're not competing with everyone. You're simply spending some time creating something with your own hands. And that's a beautiful, beautiful way to spend time. I also know that a lot of students feel like every drawing has to be beautiful. It has to be good enough to show their parents or their relatives or their teachers. But trust me, it doesn't. Not every painting has to be framed, not every sketch has to be posted online. Some paintings are just for you. Some paintings exist only to teach you something. Some exist because they make you slow down for half an hour and enjoy yourself. And honestly, those are often the most valuable ones, you'll realize when you grow up. No one is judging you as much as you think they are. And if someone is judging you, then that's their problem, that's not your problem. Don't let the fear of someone else's opinion stop you from doing something that brings you joy. You need to keep painting, you need to keep making mistakes. Let your drawings look ugly, it's okay. I've noticed something in the comments, and I hear it from beginners all the time. I can't even draw a straight line, and if I paint this bird, it will probably end up looking like a dragon. I'm scared it's going to turn out terribly. And not everyone is as talented as you. And every time I read those comments, I smile because you're exactly where you're supposed to be. That's how everyone starts. No one wakes up one day knowing how to paint birds or how to understand watercolor. These are not talents that people are born with. They are skills, and skills take practice. They are built one painting at a time. The painting you're afraid to make today, the doodle that you're afraid to draw today, might be the one that teaches you the most. Let me remind you again that you're not doing it to impress someone. It is just something that you're doing for yourself. Alright, now coming back to the painting, you must have noticed that I never really use black. I like mixing my own dark shades by mixing some warmer and cooler tones together. Like for example, dark blue and red might give you a dark enough brown to work with without adding black to it. So I think black takes away all the magic from the watercolor. Watercolors are supposed to be transparent, and when you use black, everything just becomes too dark. Mixed colors have so much more life instead of just using the colors directly. So once you start experimenting, color mixing becomes one of the most enjoyable parts of painting. I think that's something every one of you should do. Try to mix random colors. Take two colors that you've never mixed before and see what happens. Okay, now let's add some more details to our bird. And if this is your first or even your 50th bird, please don't judge it while you're painting. I know it's tempting to judge yourself, but then learning and judging don't really happen well at the same time. As a student, your job is to make paintings, a lot of paintings. Not perfect ones, just a lot of paintings. Some will have too much water, some will have too little water. Some colors will bloom where you did not expect them to. Some bird might even look a little funny. Good, that's exactly how you learn. So, do you see how the painting is moving here? That's all because of the water. If you understand the water, you've understood half of watercolor. And don't feel like you have to copy every feather. If the light and the colors feel right, our brain fills the rest. Please don't use black. I know it's tempting, but try mixing your darks instead. Try mixing red with blue, green with blue, red, green and blue together, maybe some brown and blue. So basically one warm color and one cool color. So the color that I've used here is dark blue. Prussian blue along with dark brown and a little bit of red. It is more of blue tone rather than more of a warm red tone. Now we are just adding the final details to the bird. I think adding final details is where everyone starts getting nervous because they don't want to ruin it. But honestly, this is also where most people stop learning. If you're afraid of making a mistake, you'll never find out what your brush is capable of and what you are capable of. So even if this bird turns out a little different from mine, that's perfectly okay. In fact, I would love that. This is a reminder for you not to rush and not to judge yourself. Now, while the bottom part dries, here's something I've always tell my students. Don't spend the drying time worrying if it is looking good. Spend it observing. Look at how colors are spreading. Notice which edge stays soft and which becomes sharp. Watercolor is always teaching you something if you're paying attention. Now let's give our bird a little branch to sit on. Whenever I paint a bird, I never think of the branch as an extra detail. They are really a pair. The bird chose that branch for a reason. Maybe it is resting after a long flight, maybe it's waiting for the rain to stop. I don't know the story, but I like imagining one while I paint. So to keep the branch natural, I'm adding brown over here as the base layer. And then I added a little bit of red in my brown to make it look more like a fresh piece of wood. And trees are never always the same color, they're never always brown. So I'm mixing a few colors into the brown next. Just a second. Almost done. Yes. So I'm mixing a few colors into the brown instead of just using one brown. If you ever go outside and really look at the tree bark, you'll find a lot of grays, a lot of reds, greens, oranges. It's much more colorful than we think. I've added some green to give the mossy effect on it, like the rainy season effect. The time where trees are all happy and blooming and moss is growing everywhere on them. The wood is a little wet. Some more reds into it. The more you observe nature, the more colors you start seeing everywhere. And also don't make a branch perfectly straight. Trees don't grow like that. They twist and then they bend, they change direction. They are broken on some parts, they have holes on the other parts, and that's what makes them beautiful. Keep adding tiny hints of other colors. The dark shade that you just saw, that was a little bit of dark green, dark brown, and some blue. Don't worry if your painting looks different from mine, that's a good thing. You're not here to copy my painting, you're here to understand the process. There's some tiny details, some texture on the tree. Do not use black. It will just make your drawing, make your painting look too dark. The main character is our bird, so just let the branch support it without stealing the spotlight, without stealing the attention. So if you add black, the branch will take away the entire attention and it will not even look that good. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make when drawing a tree is that we start thinking of them as objects instead of living things. A branch has grown for years, it bends towards the light, it carries the weight of the birds and other animals, it survives storms, it loses leaves, grows new ones, it has its own story. So just don't try to make it look too perfect. Let it curve a little, make one side slightly thicker than the other, add tiny changes in the color. A tree bark is full of unexpected colors. It is also one of my favorite subjects to draw and paint. Nothing can be more interesting than drawing a tree, at least for me. Don't try to control your hand too much, okay? Sometimes the loosest brush strokes end up looking like the most natural. So just trust your brush, trust the water, and let the tree grow on the paper instead of trying to force it. Leave a little gaps, don't try to fill every space. Some more details on the bird, maybe darker tones. And I think we're almost done here. Every artist you admire has made hundreds of thousands of mistakes. You can relax, enjoy the process, and let this painting remind you that watercolor is not about perfection. It's about observation, patience, curiosity, and learning to dance with a medium that's beautifully unpredictable. I hope you enjoy the process of painting. Let me know if you've painted this. I would love to see your painting. So that's it for today. That's our watercolor bird. Bye everyone. Have a great day.